Welcome to day 2 of FIMMAC and IES 2022. Indeed, for our first panel session today, we're going to get familiar with the host and organizer of this convention, the Federation of Investment Managers Malaysia themselves, FIMM, via its CEO and key heads of divisions, whom, together with their industrious teams, have made headwinds within the industry and made this flagship convention over these past few years possible. So congratulations. I heard some fantastic news. Earlier on at the introduction, I mentioned that this was actually the highest attendance so far yesterday. And I believe this morning you've capped that. Yeah. All right. So thank you very much for being a part of that and for building on the viewership and attendance of this flagship event from strength to strength each year. This FIMM-iliarity panel will in fact be moderated by yours truly. I am a current affairs news anchor and host of Money Matters on TV3. So first, allow me to introduce the esteemed panelists I have the pleasure of interviewing this morning. We have CEO of FIMM, Kaleon Leong. Kaleon Leong is a chartered accountant and the CEO of FIMM since October 2018. He comes with over 20 years of experience in various senior management roles in the Malaysian investment management industry, specializing in the fields of unit trust and asset management, as well as regulations and auditing. Prior to his appointment, Mr. Kaleon was the CEO and director of HSBC Malaysia Trustee Berhad, and he also served at the SC, as well as M Investment and PwC. Moving on, we've got Dr. Rosliza Yatim. She is the General Manager of the Corporate Services Division of FIMM. She joined in July 2019, and under her wing, she manages the overall FIMM internal operations covering finance and procurement, human resource, corporate communications, as well as IT functions. As part of FIMM senior management, she also contributes towards the formulation and implementation of various strategic initiatives and business plans to develop and grow the unit trust and PRS industry. Prior to FIMM, she was with the SC as well for more than 10 years and was involved in supervising and regulating the capital market intermediaries and institutions, covering stockbroking, futures, corporate advisory, exchanges, as well as SROs. So, I mean, it's not surprising that she's in one now as well. All right, moving on. We've got Dennis Loong, who's a GM of Industry Services Division of FIMM. He actually just joined in June this year, with having over 22 years of industry experience, particularly in sales and training in several unit trust management companies, as well as a bank. He oversees the industry development, professional development, as well as research and analytics for the industry. And so he'll be giving you some interesting input in terms of surveys and what work has been done by FIMM since. So Dennis's extensive sales and training experience provides an advantage in understanding the activities that helps the growth of the industry, the challenges it faces, as well as understanding investors' minds, perceptions, goals, desires when it comes to investing their hard-earned money. All right, and last and certainly not least, we have Sahlawati Mustafa. She's General Manager of the Regulatory Services Division, and this will make sense to you when you hear her background as well. She has more than 25 years of experience, and I must say, you can't really tell. This cumulative pool of experiences almost spans a decade. I think it's really impressive. So 25 years of experience in financial and capital markets, both as an industry participant as well as a regulator. Her current responsibilities in FIMM includes overseeing the registration, supervision, rulemaking, complaint management as well, involving distributors and consultants who market and distribute unit trust as well as PRS. So prior to FIMM, she was head of financial crime and compliance advisory, supporting global and commercial banking businesses in a foreign bank. Over her 8-year stint as a regulator, she also led a team of supervisors in supervising the investment management industry. Very, very solid team heading up FIMM here. If you were a live crowd, I'd say please give them a round of applause. But it's day 2 today, and we're going to keep it casual. And I think it's good that we get to know the people behind, FIMM. So let's start off first with a little bit of background. FIMM started as a Federation of Malaysian Unit Trust Managers almost 30 years ago. And it was then accorded the SRO status in 2011. So that makes it 11 years now.
11 years.
Yeah. Since then, many changes have been implemented. Obviously, we've seen a lot of transformation. Can you tell us how it has evolved, Kaleon, especially since, I guess you've been at the helm?
Thanks, Anita. Thank you very much for the kind introduction. And I must say something that regulatory work does make people look younger. So I'm blessed with many, many young people in my organization and in most of the regulatory bodies that I've worked in. Okay, back to FIMM. To me, it's been a life story because, like you mentioned just now, in 2011, FIMM was accorded this SRO status. And ironically or coincidentally, then I was working with the regulators and we were trying to formulate why an SRO status can and will work in Malaysia. So, in fact, the birth certificate of FIMM, I did have a hand in drafting it together with my bosses there. I wouldn't say that it was my idea, but I was probably the lowest level person there doing all the Microsoft work and PowerPoint work then to ensure that we have a proper birth certificate. Hence, when I was offered this job in 2018, I actually saw the birth certificate that I drafted way back in 2011 reminding me what I need to do. I get a lot of WhatsApp telling me congratulations, and then there's a follow-up WhatsApp to it as in why, So
why you took it on?
Yeah, why I took it on. So my determination in taking this job was why not, and I spent this mantra sharing it with my team over the last 4 years. Why not? Okay, no offense to anyone, but if I may be very candid about it, there were many things that FIMM needed to do over the last decade as an SRO. But the transition from a trade association to a self-regulatory organization has not been smooth. And it's no fault of any particular individual or anyone. It's just that timing, developments, resources, and so on didn't allow us to fully capitalize on everyone's strength, So I'm very blessed to have come in at the right time where everything fall in place, and I am very blessed to have a very good team here with me, and also some people who have left us also, they're very good. They still contribute indirectly to our cause, and most importantly, the industry support. I think later when Dennis shares about the surveys that we do, or Wati shares with you about the supervision and regulation work that we do, or even when Dr. Lisa shares with you the industry education efforts that we do, all this is not just a FIMM thing, It is also attributed to the support of the industry. If you look at the survey responses that we get or the participation that we get, even for today, it has been really wonderful. I can't thank anyone more, than what I can say today. But anyway, I just want to take you on this quick journey. So if you look at my first slide, this is a then and now picture of where we are. We are still there. The only main difference is now we got a Santan restaurant open downstairs. Wi-Fi connection seems to be better. Parking is just as bad. But nevertheless, we are still there. But what we have done differently over these last 4 years is we have built in many, many milestones. So if you look at this photo montage here, or photo mosaic here, what you will see is basically almost 500 pictures that have taken part over the last 4 years to sort of explain or summarize our journey. It's like the Truman Show. It's going on live every day, and even at this moment, as we speak here in Connections Bangsa, I have a team of people in my office at Wisma Tune doing a lot of work, engaging with the industry, dealing with the regulators, and so on. So it's been a wonderful journey and an eventful one. But this is something that I don't foresee us to stop this momentum, because I'm very blessed, like I said earlier, to have a team with that adrenaline pumping and running things perpetually. So we've got a 5-year plan, we've got a 3-year plan, and by the end of next year, hopefully we'll come up with another 3-year plan to position not just FIMM, but the unit trust industry and the private retirement scheme industry in a better light. Another thing I want to share with you all, or just a reminder, basically this is our roles and responsibilities. If we look at the right side first, this is the industry representation role that we had when we were a trade association. So things like being the focal point for the unit trust and private retirement scheme industry, creating investor awareness, coming up with standards and best practices, as well as educating investors. All these things were already in place when FIMM was FMUTM. But what we have done it a lot different over the last 4 years is through transformations, which my team will gladly share with you in a while's time. So you can see from those transformations, like today itself, we are able to reach out to more people. You see, when I first joined here, we did a training needs analysis, and I was shocked. We have about 50,000 consultants then, and we could only reach out to about 800 people, or maybe 1,000 at best, if we were to utilize the budget in a very economical way. But that wasn't working because we were not penetrating the masses. So what has been done now is we've done a lot of virtual trainings, e-learnings, and even today's FIMMAC, where it has allowed us to reach out to more people. And from all our industry representation is about getting the voices of the masses, to hear everyone out. But here I must caution you, we will not be able to please everyone at every time. But we will still ensure that we come up with a practice or solution or a formula that would please the industry for the long run.
So actually, Kaleon, this, or what you're showing us here is part of that transformation now that you are an SRO, right? Because this wasn't part of the scope before.
It has always been part of the scope because you see that birth certificate that I talked about in 2011, it was given to all my predecessors. It was always part of the scope, but maybe due to timing, due to economic conditions, due to many other reasons, it wasn't fully implemented. So I was a bit more blessed because I have the luxury of a very capable team, and I have the support of most of the industry members to help us carry out all this vision and mission.
It's interesting because it came from the regulatory side, so it's almost like, okay, this is what's required. And then you guys all just said, okay, we'll just do the work then.
Ironically, you are so right, because there are some times where I meet with my regulatory peers and they still think that, they probably think that I'm actually seconded here. I also lose track about it. Sometimes I go back to the SC, I still use their car wash facilities because I still forget about that. But, being a regulator is not something you learn in school or in uni. It just comes naturally. It comes with a job. There is no specific courses to teach you about it.
I think the years of experience kind of instills a certain mindset as well, I think, around that.
You are absolutely right. In fact, if we were to have another second behind the scenes episode about this, you can probably talk to the other halves. People who are married to regulators, they find it very different. The way you squeeze your toothpaste, the way you talk and so on. There's
Optimization.
this fit and properness thing expected of a regulator. But anyway, today's event is not to it's not to scare you about what FIMM is going to do or what FIMM has done, but I thought it would be good to share the lighter touch of self-regulation, because this self-regulation concept, you don't see it in many countries, and we are one of those rare species where FIMM is the only self-regulatory organization in Malaysia.
Okay, we actually have an interesting question that's come up on Slido. I'm just going to incorporate some of the questions as we go along, if it's relevant to the topic. And this is for any of you to answer. What is the difference between the role of the SC, for example, and FIMM in regulating the unit trust industry?
Okay, prior to FIMM becoming an SRO, basically you have to go to the SC in terms of anything relating to unit trust funds. So in the past, SC will do product approval, they will do all the approvals of the key personnel of a unit trust management company, they will handle the supervision and the examination work, and they will also check on all the marketing materials issued by unit trust companies. So when FIMM was accorded this SRO status, the key thing here is FIMM will look at the marketing and distribution activities of unit trust consultants and private retirement scheme consultants. FIMM will also look at the registration and examination of unit trust consultants and private retirement scheme consultants. So if you look at it from a licensing standpoint, the registration function has been passed on to FIMM to handle. But at the same time, we also value add to it by doing the industry awareness and industry education methods when it comes to unit trust scheme and private retirement scheme. So basically, we do a large chunk of unit trust activities except for product approval and approving key personnel of the board of a unit trust company.
That still is under SC's jurisdiction.
Yes,
Okay.
and also some other things. I don't have the time to go into all the nitty-gritty.
Oh, yeah,
but
we've got-
basically,
okay.
we work very well with the SC. My team is on call with them almost more than once a week, and we do meet up regularly to share details and findings and discussions about the industry.
I think that's wonderful. It helps also that you come from the SC in that sense for those of you who have, because then you have inroads, so to speak.
It doesn't make it easier.
No, not
It doesn't
necessarily.
make it easier because it comes with higher expectations, Don't get me wrong, it's wonderful working, having a good working rapport with the regulators. But of course, there will be expectations that we need to fulfill at all times.
Okay. Thank you, Kaleon. I think we're this looks like there's a lot more that we'll come back to
Yep.
over the course of the conversation. But let's move on to Dr. Lisa. What about your role in the transformation journey? How has your role driven the aspect of transformation?
Well, first of all, I must say, being the new team, new management team, and a lot of us actually bring new energy to the organization. So in the sense that we actually bring a new DNA to the organization. So when you say, in terms of the transformation that we have done in FIMM, when we actually came on board, we really actually sit down and really think, what can we do better? What Kaleon said, I also wanted to echo is about reaching out to the mass. So we wanted to do, yes, we have been doing this, doing that, but what can we do better? So we talk about reaching out to the mass as well as making it more effective, more efficient. So I just wanted to show you one of the slides as an example, yeah? This is actually one of the transformation initiatives that FIMM has actually embarked upon. Many years back, we actually used to publish something what we call FIMM Today. It's actually a publication, it's a material that we share with very limited readers. So there were only about 200 distribution copies, back
Circulation.
then. Yeah, circulation. So it was, then we think hey, there are a lot of contents. Why don't we spread the word? Why don't we increase the dissemination? So the team actually think outside the box, and we came up with something what we call FIMM Electronic Magazine, or in short, we call it FIMM-izin. And in this FIMM-izin, actually what we have done, there is actually a compilation of a lot of information, the sharing of 101, the latest regulatory or developmental changes, and even our last year FIMMAC, we actually compact them into one whole magazine. You can actually watch the whole 2.5 days punya event
Into a
in one
FIMM-izin.
magazine. Yes,
Oh, wow.
in FIMM-izin. Yeah, and then also we also use this magazine, as collaboration tools as well, where there are other partners who are actually interested to do cross publication. So we actually work together very closely with those partners. And lastly, also I think this electronic magazine is also a platform for us to actually share a lot of kisah benar kind of scenario. So
Real life cases, huh?
yeah, real life cases. I'm sure later on my colleagues from regulatory, Wati side, she will be sharing a lot more on the enforcement aspect, right? So what is the best way for us to share or to educate the people? So here, what we did, we actually incorporated case studies, on some of the enforcement cases that we have actually undertaken, and how to educate the people, the consultants, to actually, learn from the mistake of others. So this is actually just to show you what we have done, back in 2020, it was only about 200 publication. But after we embark on this digital journey, the readership online, it has actually multiplied 50 times. So, and then in terms of readership per issue, we roughly get about 5 to 10,000, readership. So
Congratulations.
We thought, thank you. I think it's the work of the team. I also have to congratulate my team members. There's a lot of work, and it's not just like one department alone, because this is actually an industry education. So there are a lot of collaborations with various divisions in our organization. So that is actually one of the aspects that I wanted to show with the audience.
So it's basically an industry circular, almost like an industry publication, right?
Yeah,
And
this
for
is
people
actually an
to-
industry publication.
Yeah.
I mean, we do have circulars where we actually provide notices, all those things, and that is actually event specific or issue specific. But this initiative that we have done, this film is actually to be shared across the whole. To any interested readers. So actually, I also wanted to share, by reading the EZIN, we also help the consultants to obtain CPD points as well.
Oh,
So-
wow, that's a good incentive.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So what way, while we share with you, you learn, and you also get to benefit out of it. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. On that note, actually, a very quick one. For those who are collecting CPD points, don't forget to click on the next session button on each of the sessions today. I'll remind you from time to time, but if you remember, even better.
Yeah, okay. So the second aspect, in terms of the transformation that we have done, we also actually collaborated with the media partners, because we thought, hey, while we are doing certain initiatives on our own, we also have to leverage on certain platform or certain community that can actually enhance or what do you call that, expand the coverage. So we collaborated with Sun Daily last year, and it was a very successful event that we managed to obtain. We published about 6 articles on personal journeys to financial security, and in terms of readership, we have reached about 600,000 over readership. So
That's congratulations. I think actually the timing, as you said, counts for a lot, right? And this over the pandemic, many things were going online. A lot of people were looking for resources. They had time. And of course, people were concerned. Lots of people started losing jobs or job security. And I think this was a very timely initiative.
yeah. And also learning from the success that we had. So as Kaleon said, it's a journey. We don't stop here. We are moving on to the next one. So what we have done, we also coming up with a Bahasa version, because we also noticed, while a lot of our materials are actually in English, but there are also certain stakeholders that actually might need a Bahasa version.
Indeed.
So, yeah.
I can imagine. Sorry, Kaleon, you looked like you were going to say something on that regard.
No, I just wanted to add on to what Dr. Lisa has said. We are really reaching out to the masses. In the past, I think our hit rate was only in the hundreds, but now we're going for the thousands. Okay, so everything has gone to the thousands range, and with 60 over 1,000 consultants there, we are trying to hit the masses. Not just in terms of industry education, but also in terms of supervision and our thought leadership activities. So stay tuned, please.
Sorry, Dr. Lisa,
Yeah.
please continue.
Sure. So the third aspect, what we have done, this is actually a new initiative that we have introduced this year. So we have actually come up with a project named FWR, which is a Film Weekly Recap. It's a publication, a Film TV. We also have our in-house TV, where we actually scout the global news as well as the local news. They are relevant to our industry. So we tailor-made in terms of the broadcasting, the relevant articles, through the TV. And
How can people access this, FIMM TV? Is it on YouTube?
it's all through social media. It's
Oh,
all
okay.
posted weekly.
Okay, so
Yeah.
but you have to go through the FIMM website in order to access that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And also, I think the next one I'll be talking is about our social media. So the next one, like what you said. So one of the important aspect when it comes to transformation, because before this, we also don't really have any Facebook, LinkedIn. It's just recently, that a lot of this, what you call it, the digital transformation that's happening, right? So we also thought, hey, we also have to make ourselves visible through this digital platform. So what the team have done, we actually think, we have incorporated some of our digital marketing campaign. So the pictures that you see on the left, that is actually off our social media wall, in 2021. So all I could say is that pictures speak louder than the word, so just to show the audience, like in terms of the materials, the 101 knowledge, the basic announcement, we actually use a lot of what we call posting.
And pictograms, right? They're easier to digest. You see all the
Yes.
information in one post.
Correct.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're addressing a younger generation as well, I think that's the most relevant way.
Yep. So taking a cue from there. So basically, as we, as what SRO, in order for us to be relevant, because there are so many stakeholders that we have to serve, ranging from very young, which is the millennials, all those things, plus the retirees as well. So you see across the spectrum, yeah. So if you have not been following us on any of these top 5 channels, please do so, because we do engage or interact with the general public to educate the investors as well as our consultants about what's happening in the industry. And I think, maybe it could be one of the last slide for me. COVID, I would say, is an effective transformation agent. While we were thinking, a lot of us were thinking, what can we do, in actually improving or reaching out to the mass, we also have to evolve. When we used to do a lot of physical roadshow, physical engagement, but then, because of COVID, it really asked us to think outside the box. We still need to discharge our duty. We have to educate the people. So what we have done, we have moved from physical to virtual, and then now we are doing a little bit of a hybrid. So
Oh, sorry, carry on.
So you can see that there are a lot of interactions that happening. So regardless whether physical or virtual, the business will go on. So
Indeed, I must say this is actually the first hybrid event that I've covered this year. And a lot of people were already planning from last year to go fully in-person or physical events because they knew, okay, things were starting to open up. But I think this is very effective considering the reach, a larger nationwide reach that you wanted to address. I have a question here that's come in via Slido. Is there any plan for e-learning programs for consultants in 2023? And the other question earlier, I think, which was just dropped off of Slido, which was, I think if you guys can put that back on, the one that was just dropped off, yeah.
It was on CPD requirements.
Yeah, I think it was on CPD requirements, but it's okay. Maybe you can start with that. Any plans for e-learning programs for consultants?
Definitely. Our plans for e-learning, we're going to enhance it a lot. In fact, you can just get your respective UTMCs to contact my PDS team, and what they will do is they will set a time to conduct it virtual training, or you can go on demand as well. We do have a collaboration with FIMM, which we have an online portal for people to sign up and take the course at their own convenience and at their own house. So that's what we have been doing. In terms of the second question?
So it's about IT transformation, actually.
Okay.
So in your topic of transformation earlier, there's a consultant and he or she says they need more info on their registration with FIMM, particularly on CPD points. So is there a way to do this, I guess, online?
Yes, there is, but they still have to go through their principal companies to register with us, and it's quite an easy process. Maybe I just talk a bit about the CPD points requirements. I think we are one of those rare associations that went through this pandemic without discounting CPD points. Okay, I'm not saying it's good or it's bad, but throughout this pandemic, there has been many free learning virtual activities out there. And for FIMM itself, what we are trying to do is this. Our minimum requirements for CPD is 16 points. if you were to just stick to what FIMM has provided, you should be able to easily gain 8 to 12 points for free in a year. Like, for example, attending FIMMAC today, you will get 8 CPD points. You read our e-zine, you get another 4 CPD points. Along the way, we may even come up with any other activities that will enable you to get more free CPD points. Why we are doing this is because we want to ensure that consultants are constantly given the opportunity to learn new things and upskill themselves. At the same time, we have also engaged with our members and distributors, the banks, the unit trust companies, and we also take note that they do have a very structured training program. So like at the last FIMMAC, we were checking with most of the people who attended our FIMMAC, and we realized that they're not here for the CPD points. Reason being that they have got tons of CPD points. They've got enough to carry forward for years if that was allowed.
But that's a good sign, right?
That's a good sign.
Voluntarily, they want to be there. Yeah.
That's a good sign. So we are in a healthy industry where majority of consultants are not afraid to learn. They want to learn. They are eager to learn. Okay, in terms of registering with us, I've got a dedicated team that looks into this. So the steps are such. Basically, as a consultant, if you attend any courses, which is with the blessings of your principal company, they would be the ones who submit to us. And then if you have any inquiries, you can just drop us an email and my team will get back to you maximum within 3 working days to revert on the status of your CPD points. So far, I've been here for 4 years. I don't think we ever had any serious issues or contention when it comes to CPD point matters.
Thank you for that information, Kaleon. Dr. Lisa, is there more that you'd like to share on the engagements?
Well, I don't want to steal the limelight of my other division, my other colleagues, because what I've shared is mostly from the corporate services division. Actually, there's another point also that I also wanted to share that I missed out earlier. Yeah, it is not in the slides. During this pandemic, actually all departments across FIMM, they really transform in the way they do work. So if I were to just share from the perspective of the corporate services, let's say I take as an example, our HR team, they have done the recruitment end-to-end virtually. Like, our finance team, they have gone paperless. Until now, we have gone paperless on a lot of the invoices.
That's a huge transformation. This is over how many years?
Just during COVID.
Wow.
So that's why I say it's really an effective effective change agent. And then like our IT team, they have enabled from physical in the office working environment to remote working. And then of course, our corporate communication, the engagement, the education, like what I've shared earlier. So I'm sure my colleagues and their division also did a good job. So I rather let them share the perspective.
All right. Yes, indeed. Let's carry on. We've got 25 minutes, and then we'll incorporate some questions as well at the end. Let's move on to Dennis. Can you talk to us about some of your stakeholders? Like, I think earlier you guys had like a massive, chart. And I'd like to understand more about, obviously you can't do all of this alone. Who do you work with to achieve your goals in support of developing the industry?
Right, good morning, everybody. FIMM really can't do this alone. We engage investors to ask for their opinions. We engage consultants. We engage distributors, fund houses, and also other regulators. So right now, this is a snapshot of what we're currently working with and on. For the Securities Commission, we work on apprentice programs to benefit some consultants. We refine the nominee system. We talk on tax-related matters. We participate with SC events. And also on the EPF side, we review the funds that's on the EPF shelf. So for those of investors who are on the EPF Members Investment Scheme, FIMM reviews the funds that goes onto the EPF shelves. We collaborate with them to see what fits to stay on the shelf or what's fit to come onto the shelf. And also with EPF, we currently are working with them to encourage our consultants who are not on a regular payroll system to sign up for the IES program so that you can have a comfortable retirement when you retire as a consultant. With Bank Negara, we work on several projects. For industry-wide, we focus on coming up with a centralized database to benefit all the distributors and fund houses to have a common point of data that's common to all for use, and it's going to be free. We also go on a pseudo e-learning program. There were 7,000 consultants that have benefited from the program since the COVID pandemic started. And as a thought leader, we make recommendations and ideas on facts, based on facts that we share with the whole industry. The industry uses this information to make informed business decisions and so forth. So all this is just a snapshot of what we are currently doing.
Okay, thank you, Dennis. That's quite comprehensive. I'm actually wondering, for the demographic that you're addressing with the EPF, for the older demographic, is there some incentives that you're doing to kind of get the attention of those who are closer to Saraan?
For demographics-wise, we noticed that investors who are in the 30s and 40s, they are aware of the EPF investments. For the younger ones who are kind of relaxed, seeing retirement being a long way off, we are targeting them to encourage them to go onto the EPF members investment program. So we target them with advertisements or some awareness programs to get them to start, even with a little bit, so that they can retire comfortably.
I think that's fair. Thank you, Dennis. Okay, I still on you. Earlier, Dr. Lisa had mentioned digital transformation and what's been done. From my understanding, training, as you said, has been made available online with your pseudo e-learning. Is there more that you want to elaborate on that?
For the e-learning one, okay, we have online programs to get consultants to do the code of ethics. We also have pseudo e-learning where we engage directly with the distributors and principals to train their consultants.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Now, let's move on. We'll circle back to some of the more
Okay.
interesting points, and please feel free to jump in at any point if you feel it's relevant. But let's hear from Wati. There are about 60,000 consultants registered so far. How do investors get peace of mind to know that they're legit? I understand that you're the lady that helps make sure that things are more secure from the FIMM perspective for investors especially.
All right. Thanks so much, Anita, for the question. So yes, there are about more than 60,000 consultants that we have registered with us at the moment. So I just want to go a little bit, go back to history in terms of what we did before. So what we have done prior to 2021 was we actually issued a physical authorization card. Right? So then we realized that, and we did, after that, back in 2018, we did a mystery shopping. And then we realized that during the mystery shopping, 80% of the consultants, in fact, didn't even use that FIMM authorization card to indicate, or as part of their verification, to indicate that they are actually an active consultant, right?
Even though they were.
Yeah, even though they were, right? So then, that was the point then. Then we realized that, probably we need to empower investors a bit more. And therefore, back in August last year, we introduced e-verification. That means what the investor can do whenever you are approached by any of the consultants is to go to our website and key in the information that what you need to get from the person purportedly to be a consultant is either their full name, their IC, as well as their FIMM number. So this is on screen is what the information that you just need. So just key in any one of the information, you do a search, and you'll be able to get that person's name. So we are empowering investors now to actually determine, whether they want to proceed with the investment or to proceed in dealing with a particular person, right? Now, so that's what happened. We are going to continue to do this. Of course, we are talking about transformation. There's something on the pipeline about creating some app that's probably going to be launched maybe late 2023, 2024. So this is also part of our transformation program as well.
I have a question here that's just come in. There's something mentioned by the SCE in a speech on SRI certification. SRI. I don't know what's a SRI certification. That's supposed to be coming up in 2023.
Yeah.
How would FIMM be involved in that?
So I would think that's relating more in terms of the funds. So for that, I need to actually pass to my colleague back because, they're working on the SRI initiative. Maybe, Kaleon, you want to take that on?
No, in terms of the SRI certification, there's something that you have to go directly to the SC. But where FIMM's involvements when it comes to SRI funds is that we do work with the employee provident funds in terms of their verification of funds to be placed on their platform. So they recently came up with some new criteria for SRI funds, and they have liberalized it to ensure that there will be more SRI funds offered to the contributors.
Okay, sorry, Wati, didn't mean to distract
No
you.
worries, no worries. This kind of conversation, needs to be fluid. As and when the question comes, we'll be more than happy to answer those questions.
Yes,
Yeah.
but please continue on what you were talking about because I think in terms of security, I guess that's what people want to know.
Yeah.
This is a 500 billion ringgit industry, and it has been growing steadily over the years. So, as you said, you started empowering investors
That's right.
themselves. There's going to be an app. We're educating everyone. But in terms of the inbuilt systems, with a growing number of these consultants and distributors, what kinds of checks and balances do you have? That people can sleep easy. Okay, what is already being inbuilt, and what do you have in mind to further bolster security, so to speak?
Yeah. So Anita, I think we got to pay due respect to the consultant. It's not easy to be a consultant, to become consultant. Yes, we are talking about entry criteria. You got to be 21 years old. You have to have SPM with 3 credits. It appears to be like a bit lenient, but in actual fact, it's a lot more than that. Because some of the companies that we came across, in actual fact, when you want to be a consultant, there's that due process even at the company level. Some even subject them to an interview, because they want to see whether the personality meets, the objectives of the company, whether, they have the drive to be a consultant. Because it's not easy to be a consultant. You have to be self-motivation. In actual fact, you are actually working, is self-employed to a certain extent, right? And then, of course, you come to FIMM because we are SRO, we have to do our own background check, and we do our screening as well. The fit and proper is something that really, something that we focus on. And in fact, starting September this year, we are enhancing the background screening. So we're making things a bit more, that's with the intention. We are going to be screening a bit more. That's with the intention to put trust back in the industry, right? So we want to make sure that you are dealing with someone that is fit and proper. The screening will involve, making sure that the academic qualifications truly be the one that represented by them, right? As well as whether there's any negative news on them as well. So I think Kaleon wants to say something.
Yes, there's a question actually, and
Okay,
so
sure.
I'll let anyone take this on. In this topic, how does FIMM supervise its registered consultants? Is there a so-called supervision aspect to things? And the second question to that is, will both the SC and FIMM take action on consultants who are not in compliance with these regulations?
Okay, let me take the second question first because that's a bit more direct, right? So you are talking about collaboration with the SC. In fact, I think as what Kaleon has mentioned earlier on, we collaborate very well with the SC. So whenever there's any complaints, as you know that under my particular division, I'm also looking at the complaint handling process as well as sanctioning, taking disciplinary action against consultants and distributors. So whenever there's a case that comes to us, complaint that comes to us, we will evaluate and investigate. And if it's actually within, not within our purview, for example, there are marketing unauthorized products, yeah. So definitely we collaborate with the SC. Or we are talking about something that is bigger, like cases that are quite huge, fraud, for example. Then we will collaborate with the SC because we are talking about SC having a bit more power, and they have some kind of regulator to regulator kind of arrangement, and therefore to be able to reach out to PDRM, the Bank Negara, so we collaborate in that sense. So that's how we deal with other stakeholders when it comes to complaint-related matters lah. Sorry, the first question was about the supervisory efforts, right, on consultants, right? So I think we have evolved over the past 4 years. In the past, what we have done was only very much about desktop review. So I have a slide on that. Let me go there. Oh, here you go. Right. So if you look at this, so the eyes is like we're watching you, so just watch out. So if you look on the first part of the, on the left-hand side, that's very much about the tools that we use in looking at distributors or supervising distributors, which is a company essentially. So the companies are very much aware in terms of what kind of submissions that they need to make, the visits that we do, and the engagements that we always have with them. But I just want to focus, since the questions relates to consultants, right? So I'm going to focusing more, starting with social media surveillance, right? This is something that we embark on back in 2021. This is where, because we know that a lot of people are now doing marketing online, and the MCO kicks in, the marketing actually a lot more online. Therefore, we realized that we need to keep an eye on those. So what we did was we actually comb whatever postings that are done online.
We look for hashtags.
Yes, we do. Right? That's what we did. So we actually have a team that do social media surveillance. So, and then we couple that with mystery shopping. We pretend to be an interested investor. So if we want to find a bit more, so then we will converse. We'll do that conversation, through WhatsApp, whatever means, emails, and then we have like a, of course we don't use our own telephone because that's a giveaway. So we have like some burner phones that we use for mystery shopping, and from then we will take action. Yeah. So that's what we have embarked on, and also recently, which is something that we have, which is actually talking about focus group interview. This is like a direct interaction with the consultant. They know who we are, we know who they are. There are some kind of Q&A, like having a conversation essentially. So the conversations could be about potential misconducts that may happen, or also about we're trying to get the pulse of what's going on the industry and the support that maybe the consultants get from the distributors, as well as, if there's any concerns that they may want to raise, so that they have that like a direct interaction with us. So I hope this answered the question.
Yes, thank you very much, Wanti. I'd like to go back to Dennis now, because I think what people are also more keen to learn about is the hard work that you've done on surveys. I understand that you've had 5 so far. I'm not sure over which period. But can you tell us what sort of findings come up from these surveys? What's driving you to do these surveys? Who does it serve? and how can people benefit from these surveys that you put so much work into?
All right, thanks, Anita. Since 2021, FIMM has embarked on 5 major surveys to understand the landscape of the industry, the weather out there, and how distributors and consultants are doing, especially after the pandemic, where a lot of people have suffered. So all our recommendations and decisions have to be based on facts. So it is very important that we reach out to the investing public, non-investors alike as well, distributors and consultants. Now, in the past, where it was traditional pen and paper, distributors would send out the survey, then the consultants would pass the survey back to the distributor, and then there are a lot of interpretations and some paper will get missing. So a lot of consultants or investors' voice may not be heard. But with the invention of the online survey forms, consultants, distributors, investors write the survey back to us. So we have a much more comprehensive data.
You're
which
centralized
is more,
in that way,
centralized.
right? As collecting the data.
That's right. Where there's no one that's vetting the data to make them look favorable or anything. So what we get is honest feedback from the ground. Since 2021, we have embarked on 2 industry surveys. We have also checked with the investors on the financial literacy levels to understand what is the perception like and so forth. We also embarked with consultant survey recently as well to understand how are they doing, especially post-pandemic. So we got a lot of feedback from them, even to a point where we asked them about their emotional well-being. All right. Surprisingly, 40% of consultants said that they had challenges during COVID on emotional well-being.
That's quite comprehensive, actually. That's quite holistic, and it's a good approach because you're not just looking at it in technical terms. You're also saying, okay, how is this industry? How are the participants in this industry? How's their well-being, right? I mean, at the end of the day, what's the point? So, okay, thank you for that. And there was an interesting survey. Actually, someone had touched upon it in yesterday's one of the panels. Are these surveys mainly like for the Malaysian market, right? It's okay, because someone had mentioned they were wondering about the financial literacy, and apparently Malaysia, Singapore is quite high compared to other countries in ASEAN. But in terms of survey as well, I think which ones of the surveys was it that you identified the point about the value of fees and charges, actually, and how actually that it's not that the values and charges are going up, Can someone want to speak about that, actually, Kaleon?
Okay, maybe I'll just share a bit on the surveys. We started off with the nationwide survey report in 2019, and why we felt it was essential then is because we haven't had a chance to get the pulse of the unit trust industry for a long time. The last time FIMM did a survey was way back in 2008. So in 2019, we went around Malaysia to interview about 3,000 individuals to find out from them, why are you not investing in unit trust, or what is it about unit trust that you don't like, So from there, we found out that actually 70% of the respondents liked it. I think in the investors category, they were fine with their investments. But of course, within this 70%, they also had some grouses as well. And one of it was on fees and charges. So that led us to a spin-off, and we did the fees and charges one. So when we did this fees and charges one, even before I joined FIMM, there's always been talk, you can hear it on the radio, you can hear it everywhere, that unit trust is an expensive investment. So when we went down to the facts, we found out that not necessarily. Okay, yes, there may be some funds that charge up to 5% of sales charges, but there are also a lot of funds that are charging a lot lesser than that. So we came up with some facts and stats to back it up. But what's more key about this fees and charges survey is the expectation gap, Obviously, if you're paying for something, you should be expecting a form of service. And in this report, we did underline the key services that you can or you must expect from your consultant. So if you're paying him or her 2 to 5% of fees, then there could be 10 to 15 things that you will expect him or her to service you on. For example, like giving you regular updates, providing you with statements, helping you monitor your transactions, and so on. But at the same time, we try to be unbiased in that report, whereby we also look at DIY options, going yourself, doing your own investment through online mechanisms and so on. So we did highlight that there are such avenues. And if you were to choose these avenues, what are the services that you would then have to manage yourself? Because you're not paying anyone to do the job. So those are the two key things from those two surveys. And I want to go a bit into that financial literacy bit that you just highlighted. This financial literacy survey was also a spin-off from the nationwide survey, where we found out that limited knowledge among investors and non-investors is what's stopping them from coming into unit trust investments or private retirement scheme investments. So when we did this report, we underlined where are the key areas where knowledge needs to be enhanced. And the good thing is, this report was very well received. In fact, we presented it at a symposium last week And we went all the way to the final rounds. I was made to know that at least 60 over submissions in terms of financial literacy surveys and reports were generated by local higher institutions of learning, okay? And we were one of those that were shortlisted because of what we did. So kudos to the team on this.
Congratulations. Yeah.
Long and short of it, surveys will be a regular thing for FIMM. And why we need to do this is because we need to have continuous industry pulse. We need to find out and learn more from the industry, what's happening on the ground, like Wati have highlighted. You know, it's not easy being a consultant. We have deep dive into the psyches of consultants to see how difficult it is for them, and sometimes what are the things we can do to make sure that they can generate their job in a fit and proper and ethical manner. Dennis has also highlighted, you know, the amount of interaction he has done with many stakeholders to make sure he gets the facts and stats to come up with reputable findings and reports. And of course, Dr. Lisa, she has probably met more people in this room than most of us, thanks to her industry education efforts, where her team perpetually engages with people virtually and physically now. So these are the things that I just want to impress upon everyone, that it's an ongoing journey. It doesn't end after today's FIMMAC. In fact, hopefully by the next FIMMAC, if I get to see all of you all again, we will share more eventful stuff.
That's fantastic. So these surveys are available for the public as well, right?
Yep, for free. You can just download it from our website. We have made it as user-friendly as possible. If you do not have the time to go through 40 over PowerPoint slides, what you can do is you can watch 5 to 6 minutes videos, which we have summarized the contents of the reports.
I think those videos are a very good idea. That's how I know I consume it. Okay, we've got only 5 minutes left on the clock, so there is a question about, there was another one about SDC, I think that was a bit dropped, about load charges, but yeah, I think we've covered it actually. Some of these questions are about security, a lot of unknown people or companies using digital tools to promote the expertise. How do you know the company's person is legit? You can now find out yourself onto the portal, you know, find out their number is legit. We've also found out, okay, usually UTCs will be penalized. What about customers who break rules by giving cash or transferring money or pre-signing forms, you know? I mean, like, is this under the FIMM's jurisdiction? What's your stand on this?
Okay, so when we talk about customers, right, I think when we talk about customers, they are, how should I say, they're not regulated per se. You know, who's going to regulate customers, right? So we regulate consultants, and that's the reason why, you know, if you look at our website, we took action on consultants. And what consultants need to do as part of their role is also to educate the investors. Of course, you know, other stakeholders are also educating those investors. Also, consultants have also to play that role by educating the investors to not actually forego, you know, what's right to their convenience, you know. So conveniently, you pre-sign the form, there will be repercussion to that, you know, because, you know, you don't know what's going to happen to your form. You just sign without putting in the numbers, without, you know, putting in the amount that you want to invest, or without actually even for redemption, right? You don't know when the redemption may happen. So we always believe that it's a concerted effort. So that's the reason why we place a lot of emphasis for consultants not to practice pre-signed form.
Okay, and before I move on to, this is another question about, there are so many questions that come through. Is there a way for them to add on to the questions in your survey? Maybe add into your survey feedback, and we'll see what we can do about that.
They can always write to us. In fact, just drop by our website. There are feedback forms. There are ways to lodge complaints. And I've got a very diligent team here that looks into it thoroughly. Okay, maybe I just want to add a bit on what if the customer is wrong and not the consultant. Okay, we do get many complaints where sometimes it could be a he said, she said scenario, or it could be an anonymous complaint, which we will still look into. But just bear in mind that we do have a very strong process to make sure that whatever justice is served is dispensed in a very fair manner. We've got a disciplinary committee that looks into this, and they comprise of my board of directors, independent members, and so on, which is also strengthened by the fact that we have conflict of interest procedures to make sure that only the relevant people hear out the relevant cases.
That's very solid internal mechanisms, actually. Okay, so in wrapping up, is there anything that you'd like to say?
I think I'll pass it over to my team first.
Okay, so I suppose the last one speak first, yeah. So, as my parting words, so I'm just gonna leave you all with this lah, because I also take enforcement action, right? So, for consultants, berhati-hati bila membuat janji manismu, kata Aisyah. Jangan nakal, pesan Aida Jebat. Bila kena tindakan daripada FIMM, Alia dah cakap, jangan sesal separuh nyawa. Dan ikutlah kata era Fazira, kena pasrah lah. Okay, so over to you,
That's
Anita.
very, very beautiful. Thank you, Auntie. That was, I think someone in this new management is very punny. You know, everything from FIMM-iliarity to even your FIMMazines, and that is just, I'm all for it. I'm a very punny person as well. Dennis?
All right. For those consultants out there, 5,000 new consultants have joined the industry this year. We thank you for your support. And back to you, Wati.
Dr. Lisa?
Dr. Lisa?
Well, for me, I just wanted to say, we are here to ensure that, be the public or the investors, you are protected. So our tagline, regulate, educate, and protect, is really deep in our heart. So rest assured, we will discharge our duty accordingly.
That is very reassuring. Thank you very much. And Kaleon?
I think my team sums it up. I'm not as punny as Wati, okay, and I will not be able to do what she has just done. But all I just want to do here is thank all of you for joining into this session. Stay tuned. We still have a lot of work to do. Feel free to drop us an email anytime if you have any inquiries about what we do, or you've got any complaints about your consultants, or you have any inquiries about the unit trust and private retirement scheme industry. Thank you.
Thank you very much to the wonderful members of this panel and the heads behind FIMM. You can't see it, but everyone here is clapping. All right, thank you for your patience. Ladies and gents, we'll be back in a couple of minutes. We'll see you shortly for panel session 2. Until then, stay tuned.